understanding in the negotiating process that, hey, you cooperate with us, you give us everything that we need, and we're not going to incarcerate you. We're not going to put you behind jail. So when they released that sentencing memo asking for 120 days, and that's what they asked for, 120 days, we were stunned. My attorney and I were stunned. Now, I guess we shouldn't have been so stunned because obviously I don't think the Biden administration is known for, let's say, its good standing with the American people, probably more so for its corruption. And there seems to be a pattern of behavior with the federal government, the Justice Department, and Judge Kelly that was proven once again with my case. They go above and beyond when it comes to sentencing. They ask for the moon, and then Judge Kelly gives a pat and says, see, I'm the good cop.
They have to do the kind of both sides, right? That's the problem with it. Almost any case, a judge there can't be an all-out winner and all-out loser, unfortunately, even if that is the truth. So how this goes now, are you, in fact, will you be going to jail for 60 days?
Well, and so just to finish up here, so I acted in good faith. The government did not. They've completely shattered the good faith, and now that's been proven once again for the American people to see. And when you read the sentencing memo and you read the transcript from the hearing that day, you'll see that the government is trying to have their cake and eat it too. Even though they admit I didn't do anything violent, even though they admit I didn't go into the Capitol, even though they admit Alex Jones tried to get people away from the Capitol, even though they admit I said peaceful, even though they admit I said we're here to de-escalate, they still claim that my speech, not just on January 6th, but my speech on my show, on my talk show, was worthy of criminal prosecution. So where we're at right now, and actually, I just got a text from my lawyer, Stephen. So let me just, in case there's an update here, you know how this,
Well, maybe read it in your inner voice first, just so you can. I don't want to be the guy who gets you a longer sentence.
So, yes, we have officially filed the appeal. That was our plan the whole time. They gave us a length of time. My lawyer's just letting me know that he's officially filing the appeal. I can go read it now. He's emailed it to me. So that is what our plan is right now. We have filed the appeal. What the government wants is 60 days. Well, what the judge has sentenced is 60 days in jail and a year supervised probation. Now, keep in mind, I've already been on probation since 2019.
Well, this would be double secret probation.
I'm now triple secret or something, yeah. And I've been on fully good behavior. In fact, the probation offices, the pretrial services office, they also get to release a memo to the judge. I'm on perfect behavior. They said no jail time necessary. This individual is on perfect behavior. And they actually asked if they could use my case for an example for future pretrial service cases to say, hey, this is what an example of perfect behavior looks like. Never missed a court date, never missed a house visit, never missed a pretrial services meeting. 100%. I'm batting 100%. And still, they come down on me for just stepping on the Capitol grounds. But that's not what it is. They said it's my speech. Yeah. My speech. They want to throw me in jail for my speech. So we have officially appealed. I mean, right now, it seems to be that they're going to accept the appeal. Should they reject the appeal, then we'll have to spearhead this right to the Supreme Court. I'm not sure of the exact legal process of that. We are expecting that they will accept the appeal. As far as we know right now, that the court is going to allow me to stay on release under probation as the appeal is ongoing. Okay. This stuff can take up to a year or longer. If we're not successful in the appellate court, then we're going to take this right to the Supreme Court. This is a very
for people who don't know. For people who don't know, that'll keep you out of actually going to jail in the interim, right, as it goes through this process.
That is the understanding that we have right now with the court system, yes.
Yes, I get it. These things change depending on the court system that you're dealing with. But still, it wouldn't be a bad idea, it pays to, like bulk up. Like, you know what I mean? Like we do, like it's always a good idea. And then if it ever were to happen, you find the biggest guy first. I understand. They always say find the biggest guy first and take him out. But then the only problem with that plan is you have to be able to take out the biggest, toughest guy. They make it sound like it's just paint by numbers. Like, well, hold on a second. That's why everyone's afraid of it, because no one can take him out. I think Gerald has a couple of questions here and again, for people watching, defendowen.com is where people can go right to support you. But Gerald,
much better URL. I like that. Yeah. Defendowen.com. So, Owen, I wanted to touch on something because you said it, but I want to make sure that people understand this. So there was that 2019 issue that happened, and this is the cover initially that they were using to charge you, at least in the media. Right. So what you're telling us right now is it has nothing to do with your presence there, because in 2019, you, I guess, ordered not to go onto Capitol grounds. And that's, oh, well, he went onto Capitol grounds and stirred up a crowd and used a bullhorn and all that stuff. So you're saying that they're actually just taking stuff from your shows as well. So that was just kind of a cover for the smokescreen charge?
So there's multiple layers to this. In the original memo, or in the original indictment of myself, it was a 21-page indictment. I believe 17 of those pages were from the 2019 offense. So that's the original indictment, that they're going back on something from 2019. Now, this is important to get full context, Gerald, and I'm glad that you bring this up. And the timing of this couldn't be any better. As I'm getting sentenced to jail for not even going into the Capitol, as I'm getting sentenced to jail, Democrats stormed Kevin McCarthy's office.
Yeah.
Democrats literally were storming Kevin McCarthy's office as I'm being sentenced to jail. Now, do you think any of them will see a courtroom, let alone a jail cell? But it gets even better, because now you bring up the 2019 case, which was when I disrupted Jerry Nadler's impeachment of Donald Trump. This interaction lasted less than 60 seconds. It happens all the time, by the way. Nobody ever sees a jail cell. Nobody ever sees a courtroom. Nobody's on probation for 5+ years for something like this. There's so many examples, it's not even funny.
Right.
David Hogg just did it a couple months ago. You got the pink hat pussy wearers. You have the climate change activists that get invited in. I mean,
the pussy hat wearers, they're not wearing pink hats on their pussies. They're wearing pussy hats on their head, just to be clear.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Well, you never know. We just had a segment on Howard Stern, so people's mind could still be there. But yes, I remember those silly pussy hats?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I hate feminists. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So get this. So again, even for that, there's so much precedent there. Nobody sees a jail cell. Nobody sees a courtroom, but I did. And in fact, that day, the police just walked me out of the building, and they were set to let me go. And then somebody gets on the radio and says, "Oh, wait, hold on, Mr. Schroyer." And they held me and then took me to jail. So somebody at the top said, "Oh, no. You're not letting Schroyer go for this. He's going to jail." Now, this is another important point. I would have already served my probation for that, and I would have already completed my community service for that, but I couldn't because the government shut down the country because of COVID. Now, in the government's filings for the January 6th charges, they told the judge I did not complete my community service hours. That is a representation. In fact, my community service hours were filed with the court system. So we had to pull that evidence and show it to the judge to say, actually, they're misrepresenting the facts here. My client did do community service, which was already filed with the government. How they didn't know that, I don't know. But here's where it gets even better. So the next day, this was on a Tuesday, on Wednesday, and Stephen and Gerald, and I'm sure you guys remember this too, the Biden administration sends out a press release asking the American media to push back on the impeachment.
Right.
Remember that?
Yes.
To push back on the impeachment. So I'm getting charged by the Democrat Department of Justice for pushing back on impeachment and for being on Capitol grounds, while the same day, Democrats are demanding you push back against impeachment and storm the Speaker of the House's office. So look, I never intended on being a free martyr. I never intended on the United States government versus Owen Schroyer being one of the biggest free speech cases in modern American history. I never intended on being potentially the first speech prisoner in modern American history. But this is the position the government has put me in. And what else am I left to assume that I'm being personally targeted and politically targeted when nobody else has to go through what I've gone through?
And look, there are, like you said, there are a lot of layers, and it can seem complex to people, but let me distill it for people who are watching, people who can go to defendoone.com. They can see what you did, they can see what you've said, and they can look at the convictions, they can look at the sentencing for everybody else. It's that simple. Just look at the actions. You don't live in a free country if you have laws. You live in a free country if the law is applied consistently. And anyone who looks at this objectively can see it is not applied consistently. It doesn't make sense. So you have to explain what they do, right? They throw up, right? You can talk about so many motions, so many different objections. They demand so much paperwork. They throw this up so it gets so complicated so that it cannot be explained to the public, and one snapshot goes out there. Where you will have some people who still believe, for example, that Brett Kavanaugh is a rapist, right? Because one thing goes out there. That's what they do. You don't have the opportunity to defend yourself. They've done it reputationally with Russell Brand, and they do it simultaneously, even with legal battles. To them, actual court battle, incredibly complex, allows them to use out-of-context snippets in the court of public opinion. And that's why I appreciate taking the time, but I also want to make sure that we can distill it for our audience. This is just a case, of course, of the law not being applied equally. It's not as simple as that, but if people want to live in a free country, they understand that that can apply to them. It's as simple as that. Can apply to anyone out there if it is selective application of the law. And that is a terrifying thought. Owen Schroyer, defendowen.com. I know you've got plenty of shows to do there. I appreciate you taking the time, brother.
Of course, and I appreciate Louder with Crowder continuing to be on the right side of the free speech issue. Stephen, it is one of the biggest issues of our time right now. It's a cornerstone of our republic, and so I salute you and your great crew for always being on the right side of it.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And he's wearing a nice jacket. I look like shit. It's been Owen Schroyer. All right, so
I just want to clarify one point too, and I think Owen alluded to this. Cooperating with the government didn't mean.
Can you clarify while I go?
You do. Go ahead. You go.
I gotta go pot.
You do it. Cooperating with the government meant turning over what they asked of him. He wasn't cooperating, meaning like as a witness against other people. I don't want anybody to try to spin that on him and say, oh, it's cooperating from what he's doing. No, that's not what was happening at all. He's just basically saying like, hey, I cooperated with their requests for information about what I was doing and what I said, not anything else. So I wanted to make sure that was clear. One other thing too, I got a note about Ray Epps being charged here. So remember this guy, Ray Epps, subject to Tucker Carlson's deal there in the headline. Yeah. I guess he's being charged with disorderly conduct. We'll see what kind of actual punishment comes down for Mr. Epps. Disorderly conduct. I wonder if he's going to spend any time in jail. I wonder if they're going to say, hey, you know the guy that said, hey, we're going to the Capitol, and everybody said, Fed. And then the guy that was like whispering in one of the other guy's ears before they tore down the barricades. I don't know what he said to that guy, but maybe rage mode, something like that. I don't know. Like, was there like a Manchurian Candidate like keyword that was spoken that made the guy go off? I have no idea. But
do we have that guy? Ray Epps. Get that guy.
Ray Epps is he's that. They can bring the picture back.
I know Mike Epps.
Ray Epps. No, Ray Epps was the guy on January 6th. He's doing the thing. That guy right there pointing.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Ray Epps. He's been the center of attention because he's one of the most, I guess, publicly known people that did actually on video incite people to go to the Capitol and incite people to go in. Like he
did it the day before. He did it the day of.
Right. And he was never brought in for questioning. No. He was never
where he should have been the
very first guy. The QAnon shaman maybe could be a candidate for that. I know.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
He put his feet up on the desk. You can't put your feet up on the desk.
This is the first time in a long time where I literally didn't want to come back and finish it just because my neck. It's like there's no good way to sit here.
Come rub it for the rest of the show.
Let's do it after.
Just fine.
You lowered your chair and I'm like,
because at least I can keep my neck up straight.
Yeah.
Can we raise the mic instead?
I can't raise the mic. It's the whole thing, and the cord is adjusted.
It's a funny shot. I'll zoom in on you.
I'm not gonna go and get an MRI like Joe did last week and be a big little bitch.
Oh, I couldn't feel my hands. That's what's called air conditioning. No. That's what they call nerve issues, and I still can't feel my foot from my back injury, so I didn't want that to happen.
Okay, hold on a second. I was just joking, but let's if you go back and do the show because you've heard me talk.
I would do the surgery on my back. The last one that I had, 100% of the time.
Really? You told me you wouldn't before.
No, the first one that I had was totally bogus.
Well, but you had two. But then you wouldn't get to the second one if you didn't have the first one.
It's not necessarily true. I had issues with that disc, period.
Why is the first one bogus and the second one's not bogus?
Well, one of them was the disc bulging, which is just uncomfortable and
right.
But the other one is when your disc explodes into your spinal column and actually cuts off the nerve to your right leg.
Right.
That's what happened on the second one. And typically you can get feeling back. I just didn't.
Yeah.
So I still can't feel 3/4 of my foot, which could be fun for a sketch.
I think it was old Mr. Dropfoot, we call him.
No. I can still walk and do everything.
No, but you remember, because the reason that I bring that up is a lot of people out there, like, just be very careful if ever you're looking at back surgery.
You're right. 100%.
Because 50% of the population have herniated discs or bulging discs, and 50% don't. And of the 50 that do, half of them have pain, half of them don't. Of the 50 that don't, half of them have pain and half of them don't. And then you take the people that do have bulging discs, and then if they get surgery, half of them feel better and half of them don't. It is basically a 50-50 shot.
Well, these guys don't get, so I didn't realize this in the industry, but I was talking to somebody who sells medical supplies to specifically back surgeons, right? And they said, is this guy, is your doctor a cutter? And I'm like, what do you mean? You know, like, they're in the industry, we know these people will recommend surgery every single time when we call them cutters. Like, they get paid.
Well, I found them at Hot Topic.
Yeah. Not like that. They're not the main.
Okay.
they're not with us anymore.
Yeah. And then there's other people that will actually try to help you through physical therapy and other means as opposed to going through surgery. So I was just like, no, I had no idea. I knew this guy. He was a client of mine in the wine business. I went and saw him and he's like, oh yeah, you should totally do it. And I was in a ton of pain. And then he did it and I'm just like, okay, everything's going to be fine. He's like, no.
That's where you're wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
I didn't do a thing the last time. Not a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't have an injury, no ouch, no movement, no nothing.
No.
I'm standing there with my
It's
arms
just
like,
backdoor traction. People who just want to sell something all the time. So be very, very careful. And there are instances where, of course, it's appropriate, but there are people way too complicated.
There's a lot of them out there. That's how they make their money. They don't make their money on a consultation. They make them on actually performing the surgery.
And then some of them are addicted to it.
They are.
Yeah, they like,
Yes, but I would imagine that feeling someone slip away on the table, you get that godlike thrill.
oh yeah, especially with a cell in your hand.
You know, I can give life.
Have you ever seen a soul leave a body, Stephen? I haven't, but I'm thinking about being a surgeon.
I hear if you inhale deeply, you'll get their life force.
That's what she said.
All right, let's grab some chats because this took a
That was perfect, Lord. That was perfect.
Josh, where are you going to be?
I'm going to be at Summit City Comedy Club in Fort Wayne, Indiana on the 19th of October.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday. It's a Thursday. We're going to drink. I'm going to drink.
Is that a college
Gerald will
show?
be there. He's got
Do you
wine.
drink before you go on stage?
A little bit.
Okay.
Just like a fifth. That's it.
Just one.
Damn you to drive?
I do like to have a cocktail, like one drink before I go on stage, loosen up.
Okay.
But I don't get drunk.
I used to never, ever, and then when we were doing the second show, so start 8 beers, so I'd have half by the end of the hour 15. But I'd never, because I would see so many comics go, I get sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
Think people do.
By the way, CNN's covering the Russell Brand thing. I wonder what these two broads are saying.
Like, bam! Shots! Go.
Kristen Bell co-starred with him in a very popular movie.
No!
There are some
It was the sound of a tool chest coming down the stairs.
these comments in jest, but she did say that she essentially had to put him on notice to say, "Don't touch me" on set.
I kind of like this guy's voice.
And now her comments are being looked at again. So no new comments, but a lot of fallout, as you mentioned. The most
Yeah,
recent.
no new
YouTube
comments, but a lot of fallout orchestrated by us.
Yeah.
And I do mean us. When I say they, I do mean, yes, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, and Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, Alphabet. The only exception today you could maybe say is Twitter, and of course Rumble. I do mean, all of these people, they do have meetings, just to be clear. Now, let me explain to you. Google, right? Most ad revenue today has to go through Google Ads, or you get favorable treatment to the algorithm on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know who the biggest advertisers are on all these platforms? It's ABC, Disney, NBC, Universal, Time Warner, News Corp. There's about five. We've gone through them. About five conglomerates, and they dominate the advertising. They're the ones who run the ads on YouTube. They're the ones who dictate what is allowed to be run on YouTube, and of course, they're favored in the algorithm. That's why you get autoplay Seth Meyers after watching this on YouTube.
I'm still not over it.
It's not a conspiracy if it only requires, let's say, 5 to 10 people to make a decision, and they've done it in unison at least half a dozen times in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Think about it. With Alex Jones, it all happened at once. With Russell Brand, this is another. It all happened at once. Happened with us. All happened at once. It's not a conspiracy. When you see it happen consistently, you just don't get an explanation. Of course, that's where you're forced to fill in the blanks. But you go, well, it's like, how do all of them do this at once?
I don't like the Chiron they have there too. Police probe sexual assault allegations against Russell Brand. I'm sorry. Police probe 20-year-old sexual assault allegation against Russell Brand. The context matters here, not because it doesn't matter that if it's 20 years, it's like, oh, it's old, that doesn't count. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that this is a straight thing. Like, this is a really old allegation that was never taken to the police, or that was never followed up on. Like, this is the Christine Blasey Ford thing, where the FBI investigates and goes, there's nothing here. And then Nancy Pelosi's like, no, there's something here. We need to go back and take a look at this. And then the FBI was literally forced to go back through and take another look and go,
What she told us doesn't match up with what she told her shrink, which doesn't match up with what she told the Washington Post.
with Google Maps either.
Yeah.
So
She said back then it was only MapQuest.
Yeah.
I still was doing the light right, slide right. What the fuck?
Here I have it marked on my atlas.
it's page 74.
Remember Matt? Oh man, MapQuest.
You had to print
out your directions and then try to
Oh, yeah.
which one
No,
is
the
it?
book. I like the Boogos. You remember the Mapscope books? The like maps of actual like places, and you can just unfold them.
No, Gerald, you're showing your oldness.
No, my dad was the master of that stuff. He used to do deliveries in Dallas, and so he knew everything. But he always had a map.
Then there was TomTom.
That was a cool.
Which my mom, we always thought she would say like, I'm going to get TomTom. We're like, how many GPSs? She meant Tom Thumb. And it literally, we had a whole confusing argument when that's Tom Thumb. It's a grocery store from the Pacific.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like Kroger. We have Kroger. We have Tom
You
Thumb
didn't know
here.
that either.
I don't want nothing to do with Tom's thumb.
No,
Honestly.
yes, exactly.
We had to use MapQuest for tour. That was the worst.
Yeah.
We'd have to print it out at the hotel, and then hopefully we could.
I just remember it would be like slight right, light right. Like they had these adjectives. I'm like, just give me an answer.
Yeah. And then there's construction. You're like, oh,
I know.
shit.
Be screwed on MapQuest and there's construction.
It's your intersection. Make your own decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's part of life's little
Yeah.
excitements.
I like the ones now that like tell you a turn is coming up 50 feet before the turn, so you just have fun to try to like fishtail it through the turn to make it.
You know what? I honestly could use some help from someone in chat if you're an expert with automobiles. I have a newer car now, and it has all the gizmos in there. So it has navigation, and
now you sound old.
every time, well, I don't use that. I use the,
They
use
have
the
the
car.
gizmos.
By the way, they want to charge you. They want to make it so that you
They
cannot actually use your phone through your car, and you have to pay for Chevy services, monthly services.
Jesus,
Ford.
of course.
Yeah, of course. They don't want to use Apple CarPlay. Like Apple's navigation sucks. It just disappears out of nowhere. But every time I go by,
What up?
So I am going to go to Dollar General to grab bagels. Do you need anything to pack for tomorrow, or do you have all the stuff you need?
You need to pack clothes?
I don't know. I mean like hygiene or anything like that.
I thought
Do you need
we had
anything?
those things that you got already.
We do.
Oh,
Those little packs.
yeah.
I mean, are you good with everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Okie dokie. Just wanted to make sure.
Is that all you're getting?
Yeah, I mean, I might get something for tonight, but that's it.
Hi.
Hey, what?
No, we just spoke last night about it. It's okay. All right, love
Yeah,
you.
you said we weren't drinking anything in the car tomorrow, which we're not.
That's the only thing you remember. I love you.
All right, love you.
You have to watch it.
okay, all right. So this is just to set this up in my short chair.
You're doing this too. You're like,
That's because I'm
You're
just
like
trying to be as
feeding into
upright
it.
as possible. This hurts and this hurts.
oh, sure.
So I'm gonna be upright like this, like I'm in punishment. Someone give me a done skip. So this is Biden at the UN Assembly. I have no idea what I'm about to watch, but I could guess.
Iran must never acquire a nuclear weapon. Now, it has to involve our institutions.
What?
What did he say?
Is that, yeah, Gerald,
Can we play it again?
Must never acquire a nuclear weapon.
I'm with you now.
Now, it has to involve our institutions.
What?
Uvalde institution.
Is that what he said?
No.
That's like the bit I used to do. Johnny Boy, I used to get kids and have a cigar and I'd say, he said, what was that? I go, it's an old man joke. But that's him and his brain.
That's to all the world leaders.
Is he trying to say something evolve our institutions? By the way, this was the vice president during the Iran nuclear deal. He's aware of this, correct? He's aware of this, that Iran is only closer to acquiring nuclear weapons because of you?
Because of
Come on, hey! $6.5 billion is not enough to buy a nuke.
And I guess he hasn't been on Etsy.
Guess what? It's not real.
It's not real, man.
No.
Like chocolate chip.
It came out of prison.
Guess what?
I'm going to bed now.
Yeah.
What was that
You know,
last week?
guess what?
I'm all right.
why'd you announce it? It makes me feel gay. I don't have a lot to alert people to. Yeah. So it's the little things. I'm going to bed. And I'm being a high charge here. And little charge. Her hair smells like ice cream. Yeah. So do you smell ice cream?
Comes that trooper, that state trooper just spun around on me.
Is that Herbal Essence? Yeah. Do you think when he was a 6-year-old, do you think he was like Buffalo Bill, where he would look himself in the mirrr and he was like aroused? Like, do you think he was just self-aware that he was going to be a pedophile when he was older, when he was 6? Like, this is the best I'm ever going to be.
Roll right up on that truck, huh?
No, yeah, specifically. Maybe he does. Yeah.
What? I don't think this is you, but if it is, and we have an explanation for the dings, do you have any kind of radar detector type of thing
No, I
that's
don't.
built in or anything?
I mean, unless it's built in, I don't know about it.
So double check that. They're saying typically that could happen if the door
It's not speed check. Believe me, I've done it. It is a zone where I'm always under. I've tried being under and I've tried being over.
Oh, so he's gonna pass to the right in front of the trooper.
Whether you're going over
Thanks to
or
this
not,
truck.
like, it would
Yeah, that truck can think his day's
sometimes
over.
those door detectors can set.
Really? Oh, yes, rocks!
No.
Yes!
Pilot station.
Ooh, I actually got hit by a
Better
couple.
off having nothing.
Yeah.
That fucking trooper just got covered in rocks.
All that happens is the cop walks away from the window.
It gives you a large ticket.
Did you carve a
No,
No, I have home
he just wants around him.
It's a nightmare. It's because it's not. I just don't want. So it's basically they call it gaydar, but those people who say that, they don't understand how radar works. Like I can tell by looking at you the other day. Like that's just your eyes.
Well, radar's sound.
Yeah, radar sound.
Yeah, you can hear gay.
Yeah, you can hear gay, but I don't. I see gay. Actually, I don't see gay in a color.
Okay.
You just have to turn around up here.
Do you have gaydar in your car?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
It's an older car.
It's another bailout.
Number one.
No, I don't think it's radar detector. Someone said Ford Master Tech. I guess if it's been, but I mean, not that I know of, and it's in a place, but maybe it's the. I don't know why it does this. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not going fast. There's no radar there. There isn't a radar detector in the car.
Yeah.
Beep, beep, beep. So we have the little one sleeping. I specifically take a route around there if I'm driving.
It doesn't have it anywhere else though.
Nowhere else. Not school zones. It's got to be not mirrors, man. It's not the doors. It's not, what else could it be? That's a really dumb thing to say. And I love you. You think I didn't check the doors? And it would be beeping all the time. It would be right in front of HEB.
You totally missed me. Not your doors, the doors of HEB.
Oh, okay. I'm done. It just aggravates me so much. It's like Edgar Allan Poe like the beating heart. I said once I go by, I'm like, don't do it, don't do it. Beep, beep,
So it's not even
And then you hear this, you hear
a problem.
you're like, no! Yeah, exactly. I've never wanted to kill someone more. I get, like, we had people come up and knock on our door and run and ring the doorbell and run. We had a newborn. I have never gone outside with murderous intent of a 12-year-old before in my life. Really. Until
well, that's going to be clipped.
Well, get used to it, buddy.
I swear I had to check myself for a moment. I'm like, I need to calm down. Of course I need sleep. This person doesn't know that. It's just a kid. I can't kill a kid for this.
Sure.
Can I?
I mean, you can't if you don't get away with it.
We literally cut the wire to our doorbell. Did you? And put it back in so they go, boop, and nothing happened.
Oh, I don't know if you're this, like, when you had your kids first, I definitely find myself getting aggravated on their behalf. Like, we went to a play area, and there's this area where you crawl under,
Yeah.
and my little boy was like crawling under, and then this one kid decided to lay down and block it.
Nope.
And my son was trying to be polite, like, we're like, hey, crawl through. And the kid went, no, he started blocking it. And I had to stop myself from grabbing his collar. I think you can make some space.
Like I said,
It's just bullying.
I'm confrontational, like I said yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm yelling at a kid. Where's your dad?
Yes, exactly.
Well, get your dad. You need to talk to your dad right now.
Yeah. It's okay if he's white.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for service.
Your service to the community as well.
It's an ongoing.
Yeah. He serves his community.
You can donate to Crime Watch.
All right, let's cover chats.
All right, from Big Console Tent. Question for Crowder and crew: is it possible that Howard Stern doesn't believe a word he's saying? Rather, he's afraid of the woke mob coming for him for his past, similar to Jimmy Kimmel with the Man Show.
No, I mean, it's possible. It's possible. I don't think that's the case. I think this guy's been saturated in that industry for so long now, and he really wants to, and he has done a pretty good job of fashioning himself into more of a long-form interviewer.
Yeah.
So in order to maintain those relationships, I mean, for crying out loud, Howard Stern, right, all he did was mock me. And then he started saying that Ellen DeGeneres, her dancing was funny. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know which Howard to believe when it's much of a change. And it's not a change necessarily in values, it's a change of what is required for him to be at the cool kids club, and I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen personally, and I've seen it happen professionally. So I think that's most likely what is happening at this point. I do think that he believes it. But hey, if he was also just a ruse, that would also be in the interest of self-preservation too. So I don't know. I'm not a mind reader. I'm not Chad Zinger.
He is still. He is still mocking. It's just kind of.
Well, he's more outraged. Like, oh, I can't believe it would do that. It's like, I can't. I'm sorry. It's just whenever I watch, I'm like, okay. And there are things that I don't like about what went down. But honestly, okay, I'll tell you this. You want to know my honest opinion? If it's someone who, and I know she's going through all this stuff. Let's just say it's a consensual relationship, long-term with her husband and wife. Okay, I don't care. Let's say I voted for a congresswoman in my district or senator.
Oh, well, I'm gonna
And
run
she was
there.
in a dark theater with her husband, and he did a little. I couldn't care less.
Did you do the voice?
Yeah. That's okay. Yes. The reaction afterwards that you see on camera with the employees and stuff, that's the thing. I'm just not a huge fan of how the interaction went down, but it's not because someone touched a poop. I just don't really care. I certainly don't think that would make that. I think that strategically, people talk about optics. Look, they were gunning for her. She barely made just by the skin of her teeth. We've been talking about her last election, so I think that they'll see this as a vulnerable seat. But I do think that as Americans, we need to stop caring about things that don't really matter. Why was the camera on this person specifically?
This is Europe.
Yeah.
Why we CCTV?
It's a dark, and they were a little too hand. I get it if you don't like it either, and it's probably not something that I would recommend doing.
She faked in the theater too.
I think the biggest problem is the vape thing.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
That was what kind of, I guess,
Now they get to use the sex.
maybe some light. I think she took a picture of herself with the flash on.
Yes, that's the disruptive.
It was just being disruptive.
In other words, being disruptive, being disrespectful to people, because I always feel this way when I do.
The guy with her wasn't even with her.
No.
She was just touching his penis. She was very disruptive.
Yes.
He was like, can you get out of here? He wasn't touching her booty.
Well, she said she's not going to see him anymore, so I guess she wasn't really impressed.
That stinks. Poor guy. It's not his fault she was all liking him. All she had to do was not suck her vape pen, and she got sucked on something else. All right. Gerald, I had to do it. I'm sorry.
No. Jenny wants it. No. I will say. Whenever I do like stand up, right? I always say, hey, sometimes all these comedians will be mad at the audience. They show up, they don't want to be there. It's like, look, these people have hired to have a babysitter alone. They've made plans to go out there, and you need to respect, that they have chosen to give their dollar to this entertainment establishment. To go and, for example, see me perform, to go and see you perform. And if you are going to see a play, those people have made plans to go and watch that play. And so I think it's one thing this is not disruptive on a little boob grab in private theater between, consenting adults. That's really not disruptive. But if they were actually disrupting the play, that's what would bother me more, because it's disrespectful to their constituents. But even then, I think this is one of those, I certainly also think it's targeted.
If she's in a theater full of black people, no one would
No one would have noticed.
No one would notice. They'd be like, hey, she's pretty nice over there. That's a nice lady.
Yeah, Beetlejuice would have appeared like, oh shit, who is that?
Lori Lightfoot.
That looks like that Chicago mayor. Yeah, who's that? Who's that? Hey, who are you? Who are you? Who's that? Look behind you. Look behind you. Look behind you.
Candyman. Wait, wrong movie. Beetlejuice.
And someone else was like, shut up, it's not a movie, bitch, it's a play. Oh, sorry.
She started fighting.
I see, you're the critic. That absolutely does happen. Oh, it was. That's a play. Didn't you see the stage and shit? Hey, shut the fuck up. Oh, yeah? And he'll just be sitting there like, we're not even watching this anymore. This is what I'm telling you.
That's where World Star comes from, I guess.
And you know what? If people say, when you ever do stand-up with an all-black audience?
Yeah,
they do the same thing. They're not even, it's a cultural thing. It's the same thing in church, by the way.
It's like
think about black church.
like an amen thing.
Yeah. Amen, preach.
Yeah. I love it.
They don't mean to heckle.
When I get one of those, I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
Nailed it. I'm really in the pocket right now.
Yeah, I talked about this for Bruce, the 400-pound black comic. He's very, very black, And then he was like, and he's so black that his middler was black boy, 2 eyes. He's black. And me. And then I realized I had to do a bunch of jokes about being white to kind of soften him up. And literally the guy was laughing. He was like, yeah, you white.
I love that. He agreed with you.
Yeah, you white. I was like, all right, cool. so I don't know why they booked me to open this. I have no being here, so I'm going to joke about that. I'm going to joke about one of these things is not like the other. Yeah, you're white. He said, I love it. And people say there's
where are
racist
you going?
comment on something that everybody knows.
All right,
It's
dude.
different cultures. Go to a white church, go to a white Baptist church in the South, go to a black Baptist church in the South. It's a culture that, by the way, it's not permissible. It's encouraged. It's seen as positive feedback. It's not.
Pastors will literally go, y'all hearing me?
Don't get mad if you don't.
I used to do a joke about going to church and being boring. I said I'd go back to church and a bit more exciting, and I would do some bit about the strip club and the parody song. It was stupid, and it was a bad joke. I'm not gonna lie.
Crazy driving right now going
I
on.
did this joke in front of an all-black audience, and the host, black name Nick Jackson, he came up after me and he goes, "You must have been to a black church." Oh, church ain't boring. You go to black church. I was like, God damn, you're so right. Yeah. I didn't connect with this audience at all because I just called church boring, and they're all like, "We love church. We go for like 4 hours every week."
We tailgate before
I'm
church.
like, dang it.
But when Bruce used to come out, so he's a big, he was really funny about it. And he would come out, this is the first time, like, hey, Bruce, ladies. And then
Get off your fucking phone, man.
Entourage walk him to the stage. You know, it's a slow walk.
That's cool.
And I was like, okay, Bruce. Keep it going, Bruce.
No, he's just gonna bounce.
And he was just like, ow!
That guy?
Yeah, he does have some really funny stuff.
No,
He
he's
is
very
really
funny.
funny.
Yeah.
I've heard this story a dozen times over the years, but I never knew his name.
Yeah, Bruce.
I've heard that.
Sells out huge theaters too. So, yeah, he was a big act. All right, I guess we're going to like one final chat because we probably don't want to end on the radar. My non-radar
From T. Diddy, what should churches do to fight tranny churches like this one? Would protesting outside backfire? Josh, thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. Jill, do you want to answer, and then I'll close with my.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I don't think protesting is the appropriate response for this. I mean, I think that our position is that we would go to churches like this and just talk to them about why they have the position, right? So first, it's very core. Then, once you understand where they are with this and why they're doing it, some churches could be misguided. I don't think that's the case here, right? So you just start off with that. But I always start off kind of neutral on these things and let them kind of quote unquote hang themselves a little bit and say, oh no, we feel like this doesn't mean this or that doesn't mean that. Then you have a little bit more of a bone to pick, I think, with that. And I think it's fine to call out churches like this. I think it's fine after some conversation has happened to potentially go the route of protesting, because these people are actively leading people astray. Saying that sin is not sin is something that God upon in Scripture. You can see that all throughout Scripture. It's not even a question. And I think it's appropriate to be like, hey, hold on. That's not the church that God set up. Right? That is something, but it is not a church that represents God or what the Bible says. And you need to know that if you're walking in those doors thinking that you are finding the God of the Bible, because he does not live there. Right? It's important for people to know that.
Well, I think two things. We're dealing with two extremes here today. We're dealing with people who clutch their pearls, and you see this. It's just funny. It's the left, where immediately judging everyone based on their worst. Right? You sin. You deserve to be banned forever. And then on the flip side, you have people saying, sin is not sin. In other words, praise me for my sin. All that I ask of people is to be consistent, is to say, for example, we've talked about Alex Jones. He's talked about this on his show, which is the reason that it's contagious. It's so lovable. I am a sinner. I am flawed. This is not right. I have made mistakes, and I ask for forgiveness and grace anyway, which a loving Father is looking to give you. However, you don't praise the sin. Right? It's admit sin, and then it's a very simple model. Admit sin, do your best to correct it, and then everyone else, provided that it's not a praising of sin, a continual living in sin, grace. But we need to have both components. If we want to mirror the image of God, it's very clear. Right? People go, well, how do you talk about a loving God? You slaughtered these amounts, this many people. Again, if you look at the Old Testament, these are people who are living in sin and calling it righteous. That's a huge problem for God. Same thing if you look at Jesus Christ, the temples of, well, why didn't he just forgive? Because they were living in sin as a business and calling it righteous. When you say, this is wrong, I made a mistake, I screwed up, this is sinful, then we want to mirror the image of God. We apply grace. Now, as it relates to cross-dressing trannies in the church in front of your children, there's also another component to this. There were more Christians, I think, a lot of people don't know this, there were more Christians killed in the Spanish Inquisition than people realize. They believe the Jews. And all I'm saying is, It's not always all wrong. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, I'm Dr. Day. Thank you.
Hello, how are we doing on this lovely Tuesday? The week is moving along. We're happy to be here. We've got some very interesting news to start off the morning on this Tuesday. Guess who got charged with a crime? Now, we're going to go into this later on the show in depth because I'm not happy about it. But the news today, the headline is that Ray Epps has been charged. Ray Epps, the man who was on the FBI's most wanted list for some time, the man who's still on there, has been charged, and the whole thing's a scam, my friends, as we expected it to be. And I just mentioned this yesterday on the show, that there was another person that they did this with, and I can't remember the name at the time right now, but we do have his name. I do have the link saved somewhere. But they did the same thing with somebody else, right? They filed an information. He took a plea. Nothing even really hit the docket. But listen, we're going to go into this again, but this one's fresh out of the oven, so I want to make sure we don't miss it. 8:34, this just dropped. Ray Epps is going to be charged. Ray Epps, a J6 participant whose removal from the Capitol violence sparked conspiracy theories, which I still don't believe. I mean, when we read through his transcript, his deposition, he went into the Capitol just like a bunch of other people did. Ray Epps is charged with one misdemeanor count, disorderly or disruptive conduct on restricted grounds. Restricted grounds. Look at that. One misdemeanor, okay? He was charged by information, which suggests that he plans to enter a plea deal. Of course he does. The criminal information says that he did knowingly with intent to impede, go in, disrupt the orderly government business and their official functions. That is, any posted, cordon off, or otherwise restricted area in the Capitol and its grounds where they would be visiting, and that such conduct did in fact impede and disrupt the orderly conduct of government, which is just incredible, which is saying that he is an insurrectionist. He interfered with the lawful, peaceful transition of power, and I don't know how much time he's going to get. Most of the thousands who unlawfully gathered have not been charged unless they engaged in some sort of aggravating conduct. Video shows that Epps attempted to de-escalate tensions between police and rioters, though he is also shown with his hands on giant truck signs that the rioters jammed into the police line, right? That's exactly right. I'm glad they mentioned that. I thought that they were going to skip over that. A federal judge acquitted another participant who had his hand on the same sign, saying that his intent was unclear. So it's just amazing how they provide cover for these people. I mean, why are they writing this article this way? If this were any other J6er, they would be saying that this person was involved, with Trump's baseless attacks on the election, and that they were there interfering with the peaceful transition of power and all of that stuff. But the color of this language is it's the entire opposite. In an interview with the J6 committee, Epps said he'd gone to Washington Says, I never intended to break the law. You said the day before, the night before, into the Capitol. I'm sure you've looked up my record. I don't break the law. He filed a defamation lawsuit against Fox. They didn't respond to requests. So this is fresh out of the gate, fresh out of the oven this morning, which means we'll go through it later today. Dominic Pizzola, another member, got sentenced to 10 years for his actions. He even invoked Epps' name at trial. Yeah, Epps never showed up. He got subpoenaed a bunch of times to trials, and he never showed up. Why didn't he show up? He was on the road. He was hiding around. So it's basically a joke charge because he's more connected to this than they want to admit for whatever reason. But that's fresh out of the gate today. So we'll get into that on the show. As per usual, let's see what else is cooking around here. We've got the presidential schedule. So what is he up to today? Yesterday, we know that he was in New York and he was giving a statement over at the hotel, Barclay Hotel. And then today, what is he up to? Still out of town, still in New York. Going to deliver remarks before the UN. Oh, gosh. That's great. 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Oh, gosh. Oh, here he is. Is this live right now? I was going to say, it must be going on right now. Let's see.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Republic of Cuba for the statement just made, and I request protocol to escort his exit.
All right, let's see what Biden said. Here's the Biden.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome His Excellency Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States of America, and I invite him to address the Assembly.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, my fellow leaders, about a week ago, I stood on the other side of the world, in Vietnam, on soil once bloody with war. And I met a small group of veterans, Americans and Vietnamese, and I watched the exchange of personal artifacts from that war, identification cards and a diary. It was deeply moving to see the reaction of the Vietnamese and American soldiers. Culmination of 50 years of hard work on both sides to address the painful legacies of war and to choose to work together toward peace and a better future.
I get so tired of listening to these warmongers telling us about peace and a better future. Lunatics. Man, I listened to this guy. I don't know if you guys have heard about this guy, Sean Baker. And he Sean Baker, MD, he's got a YouTube channel. And he was talking about, he's this healer guy. And he was talking about the consequences of war and how he was traveling around in Afghanistan. And they would save these Afghanistan kids that were fighting against the United States soldiers and stuff. It was just a wild thing. But he was explaining that, he would go into positions and like these people's limbs would be blown off and their faces would be fused and shut and stuff like that. I mean, it was just a horrific thing, but war is hell. War is hell. And our president is just reading stupid speeches, contributing more money to it. All right, in Congress, today's Tuesday. We do have a little bit more activity today. Yesterday was pretty slow. We've got FEMA. They have a hearing today about the current state of disaster readiness, which is not really good, as we know. They can't even put out fires or locate F-35s. The House Financial Services meeting is also here, talking about the SEC, ritual abuse and sacrifice in Africa. Oh man, that doesn't sound good. House Foreign Affairs hearing is working on efforts to address sacrifice in Africa. Okay. Well, there's only so much you can do in some parts of the world, I suppose. House Ways and Means hearing on reduced care for patients, the role of drugs, chips. Man, Congress is busy today. Hey, CIA investigation, closed update from the CIA subcommittee. Energy stuff, CISA, energy, judiciary. Man, Senate's busy too. Look at all these hearings today. Woo! Defense cooperation with Taiwan. House Judiciary is examining proposed constitutional amendments today. What? What kind of constitutional amendments? Hearings to it more. Look at all these hearings today. Man, it's nice when Congress is doing something, isn't it nice? Senate's talking about AI. Oh, and oversight is addressing the failures on January 6th, which I'm not so sure they're going to do much about that since they caused it, but all right. So that's what's going on over in Congress, my friends. Let's see what you guys have to say about it. It is a lovely Tuesday. It is, of course, a Taco Tuesday on this Taco Tuesday. The week is rocking and rolling. Who is in the house? Is our locals working today? Hopefully it is. We've got, who's here? Michael Swade is in the house. Good to see you. We've got Tanya kicking it off. Oh, this is a very special Taco Tuesday. Ooh, it is indeed. Check it out. Happy Bacon Taco Tuesday with pork chops, mushroom gravy, mashed taters, all with Rubo's salt at RuboSaltShop.com. Thank you very much for that one, Tanya. And that sounds like a really good one, actually. That one sounds, that might be your best one ever, Tanya. Pork tacos, mushroom gravy, mashed taters with Rubo's salt with bacon in taco form. Ooh, that sounds good. That sounds good. Yeah, you can put them in a taco rack just like that, which I happen to own. I bought some taco racks. Did I buy some? No, I think Taco Rack, you sent me some. And get your taco racks too to put your tacos in. Obviously, that's a good solution. Look how simple that is. If you've been fumbling around with tacos, you're like, man, why do they keep falling over all the time? This is so confusing. Here's a solution. Taco rack. Boom. Amazing. Who's here? Melt the cheese. Zach says, have my tacos at midnight. Literally. Zach, man, you are a good Taco Tuesday purveyor. You are a fine purveyor of the Taco Tuesday night. Very nice. Rubo says, sounds really good. It does sound good. Nice, Tanya. It does sound good. Working better than yesterday. Good. What's up? Good morning to the Rubos. Righties in the house. Never question January 6th. Yeah, you know what else? Speaking of Clavicle Girl, well, I guess we weren't really speaking of Clavicle Girl. I just threw that in there. But do you remember Clavicle Girl? You remember Cassidy Hutchinson? Well, she's going to be going on TV to do an interview soon. And she was the one who said that Trump reached across the Secret Service person and was going to deviate him to the Capitol. Well, apparently she's going to be joining Rachel Maddow next week on Monday. Cassidy Hutchinson, live in studio for her first live interview since she was testifying in the January 6th hearing. And we really like Cassidy Hutchinson because she's Clavicle Girl. And she actually said that the Secret Service agent almost lost a clavicle, or maybe two clavicles that day. Let's see if we can find this right article. Yeah, and sometimes they try to hide the clavicles word, you know, because it's so silly, but we're not going to let them do it. I found one that has the clavicles. J6 committee to interview former Trump Secret Service agent Tony Ornato. So this was a while ago. And let's see, where's clavicles? There it is. Hutchinson maintains that while she was not in the SUV at the time, she wasn't even there to see it, she heard the account from Ornato when everyone was back at the White House after the rally. Hutchinson told the committee that Engel was in the room as Ornato told the story, and Ornato motioned towards his clavicles as he was talking about the lunge. Hutchinson said, Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Ornato recounted the story to me, so hearsay, he motioned towards his clavicles. Clavicles girl. Hutchinson said Engel didn't deny the story. And so Trump was going to be attacking the Secret Service agents. Take me back to the Capitol building and insurrect the country for me. Right? Okay, that's Cassidy Hutchinson. And so she's going to be she's going to be back in TV now with Rachel Maddow on the Monday morning show. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And Patty Rod says, just watch the documentary on J6 documentary. Very interesting. Of course, the narrator has been charged as well. The page says 79 minutes, the breach of the Capitol. Was that the guy who just got charged yesterday? He was one of the first through. And they charged him. He said he was a journal. Yeah, Patty Rod says, I think so. See the Veil says, honey, do you know what time it is? Well, of course I know what time it is. It's that time again. What time is it? It's the smelling some BS time again. It's true. There's a lot of that. Yeah, there's another coup in Africa going on. I think they found the F-35. I think they found that it was in a field somewhere. Is what they said.
Oh, shit.
Tina J. Dallas, what's up, Tina? Says Biden's speech says he's gonna build a stronger Security Council and condemn Putin. Nothing to condemn the CCP. If the UN Security Council would have looked into this, Putin would not have invaded Ukraine. The war was totally preventable. Hunter's companies funded a bunch of the nonsense we see in the world. Good to see you, Tina. Yeah, there's something strange about the Bidens. Are they bought and paid for by the CCP people? What's up, T. Lewis? In the house. Says, hello, Rob. Hello, Rob. Hello, my fellow watchers. Hope everyone is having a terrific Tuesday in the house. Same to you, T. Lewis. Same to you, T. Lewis. Look, Joe. Look, Joe. Look at what you've done. Look at what you've done, Joe. Look at it. Kind of reminds me of, that's what he looks like after he gets his face lifts. After they pull it back. Right, he says a family friend of ours was in the British Army for years. Yeah, the Fetterman photos. There's a bunch of them. Dude's face is changing all the time. It's wild. Dude just keeps changing. Too funny. Yes. Yeah, and he definitely did not write the speech, says JC. What's up, me Angelini? Good to see you in the house. Political Mom is with Mom. Shout out to Political Mom and Mama in the house. Good to see you guys. And 51K is joining us here. Husky Mom's in the house. Brandon Rudder. We've got Fresio, Andrew Richardson. Good to see you. Mark Owen says it's always the same ones in my life. CCP probably took control of the F-35, says Mike Holman. Well, they did land everything, right? What's up, Dolphin? Dolphin fan is the man in the house. We got James Hicks. Donna Newlands here. Says Rachel's going to be salivating over that interview, no doubt about it. No doubt. And I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of this. I can't wait to hear how Trump attacked a clavicle. Spud says, she heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend, and Trump said, go, go, gadget arms, and tried to take control of the beast. I love it. Yeah, and the helicopter came out of Trump's head, like Go, Go, Gadget, and like lifted the SUV up. Ridiculous, the whole thing.
Thanks for riding with me.
So, all right, my friends, well, let's see what else is cooking out there. So,
not feeling all that great today. We'll see.
Presidential schedule, which we took a look at. People are getting a little bit nervous out there about
probably,
and this was a headline.
Maybe do a desktop stream. We'll see. Washington Post. Peace, everybody. Out.
Anxiety is rippling through the Democratic